Thank you so much for joining us for your very first summer Muskie Mondays presentation. My name is Mara Paulette. I am the Director of Cooperative Education and Career Readiness here at Lakeland, and I'm joined by my colleague Megan Helmer, and I'll let her introduce herself here in a second, but we are going to be taking you through our career services, cooperative education, trying to answer as many questions as we can. This will be just an informational video, and then we will be hosting a live Q&A session on July 5th as the first true live Muskie Monday. So again, any questions you have, we'll let you know how you can get a hold of us and submit your questions prior to that day. But hopefully this presentation gives you a good sense of some things to be thinking about in terms of employment and what to expect for your co-op experience and things of that nature. So yeah, Megan, sorry, I'll let you introduce yourself and your role too.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Megan Helmer. Like Mara said, I'm our Assistant Director of the Cooperative Education Office. So I do a lot of the typical student meetings that a career office offers, and we'll talk a little bit about the other services that our office offers as well, and that will help to give you a sense of our responsibilities within the office.
So just a little bit of an overview of what we'll be kind of chatting through in today's presentation. Like Megan said, we'll go through the overview of our office services and what we can offer to you all. We'll talk through expectations of your first year as a co-op student, what to be kind of anticipating and preparing for, what that will look like for you. We'll talk through employment opportunities, both on campus, off campus, do some compare and contrast to see what might be the best fit for you in your situation. We'll talk through the next steps for securing that employment. We'll talk through some of the employment paperwork that's going to be expected and needing to be done right away before starting those positions. And then we'll talk about how you can submit your questions for the live Q&A session.
So our office is located on the first floor of the William A. Krieger building towards the front of campus. So that's really where a lot of our administrative offices are, things like financial aid, the bursar's office, and all of those good things. So we're on the first floor of WAC. The services that our office offers really cover any step of the employment process you can think of. Everything from starting your resume, practicing your interview skills before you start interviewing for those positions, even things like walking you through the application process. So if you have never applied for a job, or if you're just a little nervous about some of the questions, we can sit down with you and we can walk you through those applications. We can also connect students with things like job shadows and opportunities to further explore your career by maybe talking to alumni or talking to business owners in the area, or just people who are really in those positions that you may be interested in after graduation to like I said, further explore your career options. We also help students with finding internship and co-op experiences. So when you are ready to really jump into the industry and get some of those more professional level experiences, we can help you with those. But like the last bullet point says, we also help with just part-time employment. So I just simply need a job. I need to make some money to help pay for whatever will help to support your education. We help students with those general employment searching and employment needs as well.
Excellent. So talking through a little bit about what your first year as a co-op student, so if you have applied for the co-op scholarship or the co-op program and have done your interview and you are coming in as a co-op student, I think a lot of the questions we get most of the time is, what does that mean? What does that look like? What is expected of me in order to either maintain that scholarship or just stay within the program? And the answer is pretty simple, especially your first year. We just want you working. There is no minimum hour requirement for, how much you have to be working. There's no specific location that you have to be employed at. We have students that work on campus. We have students that are working off campus. We just want you employed in some capacity, whatever it is that you feel comfortable with coming in your first year. So, and again, we will help you, help you find those opportunities, and we'll talk through again how you can be searching for those even before the start of the semester, and we'll talk through what that process looks like a little bit later. But that really is the kind of main criteria for maintaining your status as a true co-op student. So again, we'll talk through the employment options either on or off campus. But again, we don't assign students to these positions. There's not, one specific place that you need to be working or a specific set of hours. The other thing, though, that we really do encourage students to be doing right away their first year is to be taking the professional protocol course that we offer. It's EXP 100 is the course code, but this is really the prerequisite course to being able to earn credits for the work experience for the co-op program. So really step one is taking this class so that any work experience in the future semesters can be credit bearing for you. This class, if you're not familiar with it yet, it is really kind of our intro to professionalism, really talking through kind of what to expect when you are in a professional position, but we also do some of the basics of job searching, so making sure your resume is up to date, talking through we're doing practice interviews and talking through interview strategies and skills of that nature. Megan, I know, had mentioned, job shadows and things like that. So we help students kind of figure out exactly what do you want to do. We do a little bit of career exploration in this class. So again, just kind of a high level overview of what your personal, professional, and we do some financial goal planning in it as well. So that is kind of what to expect in that particular class. And then in terms of the different types of employment that you could potentially participate in, on-campus employment, again, lots of benefits for students working on campus. It's certainly convenient. You don't have to worry about transportation. We have just about all of our departments on campus employ students in some capacity. So whether that's in any of our food services, in the daily grind, coffee shop, in the Muskie Mart or something, but it also could be in some of our administrative offices, our yards and grounds, on facilities staff. So again, truly all across campus, there's different opportunities for student positions. So again, and they're not just convenient, but also very flexible in terms of their scheduling, because again, they understand that you're a student first. You might have the opportunity to do, shorter shifts as opposed to, full 8-hour shifts that you might run into with off-campus employers. So again, a lot of flexibility comes with that. And really, certainly the relationships that you build that help keep you more connected to campus as well. So for first-year students, on-campus employment is a really, really great option. Some things to consider, though, when you are making the decision of where you'd like to work for your first year. Just thinking about earning potential too, there is a limit to how many hours students can work in on-campus positions. For the most part, students are capped at about 18 hours a week. So if you're in a position where you'd like to be working more than that, you would need either off-campus employment in addition to that. So just something to be aware of with that, as well as the wages. Most of our positions on campus are at about an $8 an hour rate. So again, if you're looking for some higher earning potential, and if that's a high priority for you, may it be something to consider in looking into more off-campus options, which Megan will talk about here in a second.
Alrighty, so like Mara said, you have your two options of on-campus or off-campus, and you can also kind of mix a little bit of both. So I know some students who fill those shorter blocks during their week, shorter openings in their schedules with an on-campus position, and then they use more of their larger time frames like evenings, weekends, or those days where you may not have any classes to fill with an off-campus position. So what are the benefits to those off-campus positions? One of them, as Mara just mentioned, is the higher earning potential. So with an off-campus employer, there isn't a limit to the number of hours per week that you can work. Of course, you'll want to keep things in mind when you're creating your schedule, like obviously your class schedule, but also the time that you may need each day to study or be doing homework and things like that. So whatever works for your schedule, there isn't a limit there with off-campus employers. There's also a higher wage rate, so that higher earning potential. Again, just getting that wage range that's a little bit more between the $11 to $20 per hour versus the $8 that you would receive on campus. There's also this really cool benefit from off-campus employers, and that's the opportunity for tuition reimbursement. And that really flexes based on the employer that you're working with. So for example, one of our employers, after you work for them for about 6 months, those tuition reimbursement benefits kick in, and they will help you to pay for school by paying up to $5,200 a year of your tuition. So that's just one example of how that works. Every employer has a different time frame that you have to work with them, has a different dollar amount or percentage that they will help you pay for. So it's very important that you work closely with our office if you're interested in one of those opportunities so that we can help pick the best employer and the best program that works for you. But that is an option with those off-campus employers. It's also just a really great opportunity for you to network professionally. So if there's an organization that you're just dying to work for, even after graduation, getting your foot in the door while you're a student is just the best way to have those opportunities for after graduation. Employers really love when a student works their way up within the company, and they love to keep students after they graduate. Obviously, that gives them the great opportunity to kind of train someone for a few years before they're in more of that professional role once you have your degree. So that's a great opportunity for you there. The only consideration or thing that you may want to keep in mind when you're thinking about off-campus employment is the type of employer that you're working for and the way that they schedule their employees. So some of our employers, they can't be as flexible because of how their organization works. So there are some employers out there that need you to commit to a 4 or 6 or 8 hour shift, and they can't be as flexible on that. So it doesn't mean that you can't work for them. It just means that you need to keep that in mind as you look at your class schedule or your athletic schedule to really find the employer that is going to fit best within those different things for you. So this slide just shows a couple of employers that offer those tuition benefits. As I said, all of them do something a little different. So again, if you're interested in those tuition benefits in working with one of these employers, just let us know and we can walk you through what each of these companies offers in terms of tuition benefits and what will work best for you. I do want to mention the note at the bottom as well about year-round employment. That is very important. So that's something to keep in mind when you're considering employers who have tuition benefits, is that those employers are going to want you to be on the payroll with them all year round. They're going to want you to be an employee. It doesn't mean that you can never take vacation or that you can never go home for a holiday or something like that, but it means that we need to plan those things with you in advance. So again, that's another conversation that you can sit down with Mara or I and have so that we can help ensure that you're receiving those tuition benefits.
So then in terms of really securing your employment, again, whether you're choosing on-campus employment or off-campus, really your next steps are going to be applying for those positions. Like, as I mentioned, we don't assign students to their employment experiences. We really want it to be something that's going to be the best fit for you. So after you've kind of weighed those different benefits and considerations, then you can really start applying through Handshake, which is our online career platform. And all students will get set up with an account. You will, sometime this summer, you will be receiving instructions from our office with how to log in, how to kind of navigate the platform itself. But it's very, very user friendly. But all of our on-campus positions are posted through there, as well as a majority of the off-campus partners that we work with choose to post their positions in there as well. So, so we really encourage students to apply for as many positions as you'd be really willing to do. It just really increases your opportunity to secure something and be a match. So that is definitely something that we highly encourage, rather than just applying for one or two, really submitting multiple applications for different positions. You students do have to have a resume on file in Handshake in order to apply for those positions. So that is also something that we highly encourage students to be working on over the summer, is getting that updated. It certainly doesn't have to be very pretty necessarily. That's something that we help you really polish and fine tune in that professional protocol class that we mentioned earlier. But we do have to have some type of document that at least lists some of your work experience and your personal contact information. So Handshake won't let you apply without some type of resume being uploaded to your account. So something to be thinking about. And we do have resources, and I'll mention where those are located as well. But when you are searching for employment options, again, you can filter specifically if you're looking only for on-campus employment. There is an option to filter on Handshake for that. Otherwise, if you're looking for off-campus and are just curious about what's available, we suggest filtering by location. So using Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and it will give you kind of jobs within a specific mile range of that. We do have transportation we have free shuttle services for students that will take students anywhere within the Sheboygan County boundaries. So if you're worried about how to get to your off-campus position or how to get to somewhere, again, we do have shuttle services that take students to and from employment, as long as it's within the county lines. So other filters that you can use is the employment type. So you can filter out so that you're not seeing positions for full-time jobs. This is I should have mentioned it before, but Handshake is a national job board. So it's not just specific to Lakeland. It's not specific just to Wisconsin. So if you don't use some of these filters, you might be seeing positions from Florida and New York and places that aren't going to be necessarily realistic for your first year go-up experience. So, so these filters are helpful in filtering out some of those, full-time positions and things like that. You can also filter for paid roles only, because again, also sometimes there are unpaid internships that might be posted on here, and again, not something that you're necessarily going to want right away your first year. You want to be starting to bring some money in right away. So those are just some recommendations that we have for searching for positions on Handshake. And again, you will receive instructions on how to actually log in and all of that once your account is set up.
So if we're talking through these employment options and they're kind of piquing your interest, we do have a virtual employment fair specifically for on-campus employment that we will hold Thursday, August 5th from 11 to 1 o'clock. And that is going to be virtual. So we're going to host that right through Handshake. Handshake has a virtual fair platform that allows you to complete your video meetings with employers and some other students right through Handshake. So again, once you receive those login instructions, you'll be able to log in and you can register for the fair. And then you can also start to build your own schedule and select the departments that you want to meet with. You don't have to have applied beforehand. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is that this is a great time for you to just meet with some of the departments you may be interested in working with and start asking some questions about the jobs that they have available, what the requirements are, what their hiring timeline looks like. All of those are great questions to ask in some of these sessions that will be hosted at the fair. So like Mara said, you'll receive login instructions, you'll receive some invite messages to the fair, and then you'll be able to log in, register, and build your own schedule to select who you'd like to meet with.
And I should note that If you aren't already checking your Lakeland email, we highly encourage you doing that, because that is where these messages will be sent, is to your Lakeland specific account. So the login instructions and the different fair invites that Megan just mentioned, those will go to your Lakeland email. So again, as will other important information throughout the summer as well. So please be checking that particular account. So for your form of the week, and I believe this will be an ongoing theme for each department that does their presentations, we'll have a form of the week to mention, but ours really refers to multiple forms, and it's really all involving the employment paperwork. So once you've secured a position, before you're able to start, there are some documents that are required, both from like the federal and state side of things, but also some Lakeland documentation in order to make sure you're able to get paid appropriately and get all of that set up. So I'll go through kind of some of the general documentation that we'll need, but we do ask that students bring these things with them right away when you move in on campus. We will have the opportunity for students to kind of get this paperwork taken care of on move-in day, and then subsequent days following that as well. So if you can bring this documentation with you right away, we can get it taken care of so that you're able to start working as soon as possible, and you don't have to have a major delay between being hired and when you actually can physically start working. So some of the required documents are going to be, and this will also be whether you're working on campus or off campus. These are documents that are required by the federal and state government. So students will need to provide proof of your identity. So this can be in the form of a driver's license, a passport, a state ID, anything of that nature. And there is a full a link to the complete list of documents that are legally acceptable for these. So it's just proof of student identity, and then also proof of the student's legal ability to work in the U.S. And this can be a birth certificate, a social security card, etc. Again, there's a full list that can be found through this link here. These are documents for the I-9 form, which again is required by the federal government. These documents that you bring, this proof of identification and ability to work in the US, they need to be the original form. So I think this is one of the most important things, is we can't accept copies for this. So students need to bring their physical birth certificate or social security card, things like that. We need to be able to physically verify that we have seen the actual documents. So again, just really driving that point home, is that we cannot accept copies for this for legal purposes. So other helpful documents, and again, we'll all note where these are all going to be located, but we ask students to bring in direct deposit information, so to verify their bank account for payroll purposes. So whether it's a voided check or a letter from your bank that verifies both your account number and the routing number for your bank, those are all acceptable forms of authorization for that. And then there is the W-4 and the W-T-4 form that is for tax withholding purposes. And again, these are all going to be located in the resources folder within Handshake. So when you receive your email about the login information, we'll make sure and kind of point you to where you can locate the resources folder as well.
All right, so what are your next steps now that we've talked about your employment options and pros and cons of both of those and what you need to have with you? What are your top 5 things that you should do to be prepared for coming to campus and being involved in co-op and on-campus employment and those types of things? The first thing is create your resume or update it if you haven't updated it in a while. If you do need help with this, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to give you some suggestions or to help you build your resume right away. Our contact information will be at the end of this PowerPoint, and you can reach out to us through email to schedule time to chat with us. You'll also need to gather all of the paperwork that Mara just discussed, so making sure that you have those original copies of all of those forms and that you have a good understanding of the the things you'll need to be filling out when you're hired for a position. Applying for jobs, like we said, don't just apply for one, apply for a bunch. It's better for you to have to tell someone, I'm really sorry, but I've already accepted a position. Thank you for the opportunity, than it is for you to not have any offers because you only applied for one position. So apply for the jobs you see that you are interested in. Attend the virtual employment fair. Get all of those questions answered that you may have for our on-campus employers and start applying and interviewing early. The last thing is making sure that you check your fall schedule for the professional protocol class that Mara talked about. The sooner we get you in that class, the sooner you can start earning those co-op credits. So let's get you in that class, start talking about your career plan, start building your resume and networking, making some connections to really plan out your 4 years here in your career path after college.
Megan. So as we mentioned, our contact information is listed here. So if you do have any questions about information that we covered during this presentation or things that you were hoping to have learned that we didn't cover, please feel free to reach out to us at career@lakeland.edu, or you can also send questions to Meg Albrink at albrinkm@lakeland.edu. We will be using those questions to help kind of set up the Q&A session, the live one that will be hosted on Monday, July 5th for the first Muskies Monday. So that will be at 7 p.m. Central Time. And again, please join us if you want to email those questions ahead of time, or if you'd rather ask them live at the time, that's completely fine too. But we just want to give you the opportunity to make sure that you have all of your questions answered in all capacities. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and yeah, we can't wait to see you on campus for move-in days. So